This is the Coronavirus Global Update on Monday, the 26th of July. I'm Jackie Leonard. The South African president eases some COVID restrictions. Australian police say anti-lockdown protests will no longer be tolerated. And the French Parliament approves vaccine passports. The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is easing some COVID restrictions, saying the country has largely passed the peak of the third wave of coronavirus infections. He's lifting a weekday ban on alcohol sales and is allowing movement between provinces. Mr. Ramaphosa said overall infections were down 20% as a result of the country's vaccination programme.
We are now administering more than 240,000 vaccines every weekday. A month ago, this figure stood at around 100,000 vaccines per weekday. And as a result, we've now administered more than 6.3 million vaccines, with over 10% of our population having received a vaccine dose.
Malaysia's parliament has held its first session this year after being suspended under emergency rules brought in to tackle coronavirus. Opposition politicians have accused the Prime Minister, Muhyiddin Yassin, of using the crisis to avoid a no-confidence vote in the legislature. Under pressure, the Prime Minister agreed to this 5-day sitting, but his parliamentary support will not be tested as there'll be no votes during the session. Australian police have said anti-lockdown protests will no longer be tolerated after thousands of demonstrators in Sydney defied COVID-19 restrictions on Saturday. Health officials fear the protest could become a mass spreading event as an outbreak of the Delta variant in Sydney gets worse. Here's Phil Mercer.
The hunt for the ringleaders of Saturday's wild anti-lockdown demonstrations in Sydney is continuing. Dozens of people have been charged. The New South Wales Police Commissioner Mick Fuller said any repeat of the unrest this weekend would be met by a significant show of force. A lockdown in South Australia will end on Tuesday, but there are fears that stay-at-home orders in Sydney and surrounding regions will again be extended.
The French Parliament has approved a law to introduce vaccine passports for some everyday activities and to make COVID vaccinations mandatory for health workers. It was only passed after the government reached a compromise with the opposition in the Senate to make the provisions expire in November unless Parliament extended them. From the start of August, the pass, showing full vaccination or a recent negative test, will be needed to enter restaurants and bars and for long-distance train and plane travel. Sunday's vote came a day after big anti-lockdown rallies in Paris and several other French cities. Civil liberties campaigners in Britain have condemned proposals to make proof of vaccination a condition of entry at Premier League football matches from October. Ben Wright reports.
At the start of the year, ministers said they had no plans for people in England to show proof of vaccination. But it's now clear some freedoms will come with that condition. Earlier this week, the Vaccines Minister, Nadhim Zahawi, said entry to some high-risk settings where large crowds gather would require people to be fully jabbed from the autumn. But conversations are underway within government about introducing COVID passports at seated outdoor events too.
One of Bolivia's greatest contemporary artists, Roberto Valcárcel, has died with COVID-19 complications. Born in the capital La Paz in August 1951, he studied graphic design and architecture in Darmstadt, Germany. In a career that spanned more than 4 decades, his works ranged from photorealist drawings to conceptual interventions. The plastic artist defined his own works as radically eclectic. He used unconventional material such as recycled packaging timber. And that was the Coronavirus Global Update.